from a movie about a video game.
As the superhero genre continues to slide, it seems that the video game genre is the next big thing in terms of movies. Recently we've been getting a lot of movies based off of video games. Now, some of them, like the Super Mario Bros. Film and the Sonic series, have been generally well-regarded, well-received, successful movies. But then there are others like the Borderlands film and the Warcraft film, two pretty god-awful movies that were massive flops. Now, this past weekend gave us the most recent release in the genre, a Minecraft movie. Now, a little bit about Minecraft. I'm not a gamer, but from what I've read and seen, this is a huge franchise. It's the #1 selling video game of all time and is considered by some to be the greatest video game ever made. So naturally, with those facts in place, you knew that they were eventually going to try and make a movie based on this world, and that is what they did. So what do we have here? Is a Minecraft movie the next great video game film adaptation? Like some of the ones I mentioned earlier, Super Mario Bros. And Sonic? Or is it more along the lines of the flops video game properties like Borderlands and Warcraft that are huge, but whose movies sucked? Well, before we answer that, let's talk a little bit about the plot for the film A Minecraft Movie.
Let's sit down, have a chat.
So our story begins with Steve. Steve breaks into a mine to fulfill a childhood dream of becoming a miner. Here he discovers the Orb of Dominance and the Earth Crystal. When he combines them, they create a portal that transports him to Overworld, an alternate dimension where terrain is made of easily manipulated cubes. He builds his own paradise, but then stumbles across another portal to a hellish world called the Nether. This is ruled by Magosha, a pig-like ruler who hates creativity and imprisons Steve. Then we meet 1980s video game champion Garrett the Garbage Man Garrison. He owns a failing video game store in Chuglas, Idaho. Trying to improve his lot and make money, he buys from auction items from a storage unit which contains stuff from Steve's old house. While searching through the items, he comes across the Orb of Dominance and the Earth Crystal. When Henry, who recently moved into town with his sister, enters the store, the two of them inadvertently combine the orb and the crystal and are drawn to the mine where Steve first created the portal. Now, Henry's sister Natalie is distraught when he's missing, so she tracks his phone to the mine. There, along with their friend Dawn, they are all drawn into the portal where they come across Steve. Now the five of them must work together to stop Negosha from destroying Overworld and then hopefully make it back home to their own reality. So what works in this film? Well, Jason Momoa plays the Garbage Man, and I have to admit he's hysterical. He's probably the best part of the film. I always thought that Momoa had some pretty good comic timing, and it's really on display here. His character is funny and over the top. He really brings strong comedic elements to this film. Also, kudos to the cinematographers here. They created a pretty nice visual experience. Again, I'm not a Minecraft player, but you really have some strong, quirky visuals in this film.
Whoa, just like Minecraft!
And finally, this is a little off track. It's not really a review of the film, more along the lines of the audience. I saw this movie in a packed theater where I would say about 85% of the crowd were young teenagers. And these kids were absolutely going bonkers. The Steve character would say something, or really any of the characters would say or do something, and obviously it was a reference to the games, and these kids would lose their minds. They would get up and applaud, high-five one another. And even when the movie ends, the entire crowd just leaped into applause. I've really never seen anything like it. What doesn't work in this film, however, is going back to that last bit where the crowd was loving the movie. This movie is definitely made for the Minecraft players. But if you're like me and you really don't have anything but the most basic knowledge of this game, these references are going to fall flat. You're not going to know what's going on. And speaking of not knowing what's going on, let's talk about the plot of this film. It's your basic fetch quest. You know, characters have to find something and move on to the next part, and find something else and move on to the next part. It's pretty simple and basic. And it's kind of dull, to be honest. This isn't really much of a story, as it's a series of events designed to give you, the fans, a reference for them to cheer for. And then it just moves along to the next reference, and the next reference, and the next reference. And finally, Jack Black. Look, I don't hate Jack Black, but I've been watching Jack Black on the screen for 20 years. And he plays Jack Black. There's just, whatever movie you've seen him in, he plays that same person. He's Steve here. I just don't find him funny anymore.
Not funny.
So the Minecraft movie is interesting. I think the hardcore fans are going to love it. And judging by early box office returns, man, this is going to be a massive hit. It may be our first billion-dollar movie of the year. But as an overall movie experience, it's objectively not very good. So it's not going to be a flop. It's going to be massively successful. But unlike the Sonic series and the Mario Brothers series, which appealed to gamers and non-gamers alike, this just really is going to appeal to the fans of the Minecraft video game series. The film's narrative seems too focused on drawing in the diehard fans. Nothing wrong with that, but it's really not going to draw anybody else in. And it may entertain them with nostalgic videos and visuals, but its shallow storytelling and inconsistent tone is going to leave the rest of us craving more depth and coherence in the overall experience. Look, if you're a fan of Minecraft or have children who are Minecraft players, take them to see this. You and they are probably going to love it, and if you get a crowd like I did, that experience is going to be pretty cool. But if you do not fall into one of those categories, it's probably best to avoid this one. You're really not going to get much out of it, and there's not enough entertainment here for those of us who do not play the games.
You're not good enough for me.
Well, that's all I have this week. Tune in next week where I give you my thoughts and feelings on whatever I've seen. In the meantime, click that like button, subscribe, turn notifications on, share this video with friends and enemies alike, and as always, thank you for giving me your valuable time, and I will see you next week. Take care.